Hello everybody, welcome back to our SSCMA classes. So let's resume our direct taxation classes. We were doing the revision of TDS. Let's continue the remaining section of TDS now. Okay, so we are going to start from 194M. Okay, in this section we are going to read about the three services. Okay, first of all, the payment which is related to contract first, the payment which is related to commission and brokerage, and payment of professional services. Okay, now you are going to ask me, we have already covered these in under section 194C related to contract, right? 194H related to brokerage and commission. Okay, 194J related to professional service. Then why I'm going to discuss it again? Okay, do you remember the who were pay, right? I already discussed the payer is not going to be individual and HUF, but there was one exception saying that if the last year turnover exceed 1 crore in case of business and from the business, okay, from the business, okay, and 50 lakh from the profession, 50 lakh from the gross receipt from the profession, in that case those individual and HUF are going to be fall under the payer. Okay, so those people are going to have to deduct the TDS. But what about the other, right? Those who are not falling in that category. Now we are going to take that people who do not fall in those category under section 194C, okay, under section 194H and under section 194J. Okay, so those individual and HUF whose turnover, whose last year turnover do not exceed 1 crore from the business and gross receipt from the 50 lakh from the previous year, gross receipt do not exceed 50 lakh. Okay, in that case those people are going to be fall in this category and they are going to be the payer here. Okay, but tell me one thing, in these three sections earlier we read that if the person, if the individual and HUF, okay, even though their turnover exceeds the limit, okay, the turnover exceeds the limit, and they were using that for the personal purpose, the services were used for their personal purpose, we didn't take them in that case, right? If the services was used for the personal purpose, not for the business purpose, in that case also we were not taking them, right? But in this case under section 194M we are going to take them, even though whatever the reason is, whether the service is used for personal purpose or for the business purpose. Okay, so the business, for the personal purpose is going to be fall in this section. Hope so this point was also clear to you. Let's read out the section 194M. This is about the nature of payment to contractor. Okay, under section 194C, remember, commission brokerage 194H, or fees for professional service 194J, whose last year turnover was exceeding. But here we're going to take whose last year turnover do not exceed. So payer are going to be individual or HUF other than those who are required to deduct TDS under section 194C, H and J. Okay, even for the personal purpose, then also we are going to take that people, okay, that individual and HUF. Hope so this was also clear. Now pay is going to be any resident, okay, any resident person. TDS, no TDS up to 50 lakh in financial year. Now you have to tell me whether we are going to take the single wise, we are going to take it single wise, like for the commission it is 50 lakh, for brokerage it is 50 lakh, for the contract it is 50 lakh, for the professional services it's 50 lakh. No, here we are going to take the aggregate of these professional services and commission, brokerage and contract. So we are going to take the aggregate. Okay, so no TDS up to 50 lakh in financial year of aggregate of contract, commission, brokerage, professional services. Now let's go, what is going to be the rate here? 5%. Okay, if it exceeds 50 lakh, in that case the TDS is going to be 5% deductible. This one case which says about the note which says about the one in case of 194IA, in case of 194IB and in case of 194M, okay, TDS is required to be deposited within 30 days from the end of month in which TDS was actually deducted. Okay, what happens usually, we have to deposit the TDS amount deducted, right? We have to deposit within 7 days, okay, from the end of month in which TDS was actually deducted. Okay, but in these three cases under section 194IA, okay, 194IB and in case of 194M, okay, we have time up to 30 days. Okay, within 30 days the TDS amount is to be deducted from the end of month in which TDS was deducted. Okay, so it's not 7th, it's 30. Okay, hope so you get my point. We did 194M. Okay, those who are not covered under section 194C, H, J, those people are going to cover in this section. Okay, and the rate is going to be 5%. What is the limit? 50 lakh aggregate of these things. Okay, aggregate of these things in a financial year. Okay, hope so you get my point. Let's go for the other section, which is 194, and which is of cash withdrawal. Okay, whether the cash withdrawal is in form like we have withdrawn from the ATM or by the bank, whether in form by withdrawing the cash from ATM or by going to bank and withdrawing the amount. Okay, those whatever the amount is, we are going to take it. Okay, now you have to tell me who are going to the payer. Let me read it. Okay, then I'll explain it to you. Okay, who are going to be the payer here? Okay, a banking company or a bank or banking institution. So number first, a banking company, right? Second says about a corporate society who is engaged in carrying on business of banking. Third, a post office who is responsible for paying a sum, being the amount or the aggregate of amount as the case may be, in cash exceeding 1 crore during the previous year to any person from one or more account maintained by the recipient. Okay, so majorly there are three payer: a banking company, a corporate society, and a post office. Okay, in case of post office, if the cash exceed 1 crore during the previous year to any person, okay, from one or more account maintained by him. Okay, in that case there is some limit, and limit is 1 crore. Okay, if that limit exceed, in that case we are going to take these people. Okay, first say it with me. A corporate, first was a banking company, second was a corporate society, and third is a post office. Okay, so now pay is going to be any person. Okay, but let me tell you one thing now. Here is going to be a thing which you should know. First of all, when we withdraw any amount from ATM or from go to bank and take out the amount, okay, in that case, if the amount is up to 1 crore rupees, there is no TDS applicability. But what if the amount exceeds that limit, that 1 crore rupees? In that case, TDS is going to be applied. Now TDS applicability goes like two, they are falling in there are two people which are falling in this category. First of all, let me tell you with a short example. Okay, first of all, TDS applicability is going to be in two people. First person is going to be tax person, second is going to be non-tax person. Actually what happens, this is a limit up to 1 crore. Okay, no TDS is going to be applied up to 1 crore. If it exceeds, in that case 2% is the TDS rate. Okay, 2% is going to be the TDS rate. But there again one thing saying, if the person is taxpayer. What is the meaning of taxpayer? Who is regularly filing the return. Okay, who is regularly filing the return. Okay, in that case the person is actually filing the return from last 3 preceding previous year. Okay, we are going to take that person, that is going to be taxpayer here right now. Okay, so for those, that is going to be 2% if the amount exceeds 1 crore rupees. Let me give a very short example and you'll get it. Okay, amount withdrawn is 1 crore 40 lakh, right? In up to 1 crore, there is nil rate. There is no TDS applicability, right? In excess of 1 crore, which is going to be 40 lakh, for 40 lakh, what is going to be the rate? 2%, and 80,000 is going to be TDS amount here. Okay, hope so this point was clear to you. Okay, so what I told, this is the first case. In case of taxpayer, if the amount exceeds 1 crore, okay, the exceed amount is to be payable. The rate is going to be 2%. Hope so this point was clear to you. Now let's go for the person who is a non-taxpayer, okay, who have not filed a return. Okay, we have not filed a return from last 3 preceding previous year. Okay, in that case what is going to happen? Let's check out. There are actually two rates. First is 2%, second is going to be 5%. Now tell me, 2% is from how much limit? Okay, if the amount exceeds 20 lakh, okay, first of all, if it's up to 20 lakh, in that case nil, there is no TDS applicability. But what if it exceeds 20 lakh, and what is up to the limit? That is going to be 1 crore. So if the amount is from the 20 lakh and up to 1 crore, the rate is going to be what? The 2%. Okay, but what if the amount exceeds 1 crore? In that case, the rate is going to be 5%. Hope so this point was also clear. Let me tell you, say it again. Okay, there are two people who are going to fall into this category. First is taxpayer, second is non-taxpayer. The taxpayer who have regularly filed the return of income, first of all, okay, and non-taxpayer who have not actually filed the return of income, okay, ROA is not filed by him, okay. So for taxpayer, 2%, up to, if the amount exceeds the cash withdrawal exceeds the 1 crore, only we are going to take the excess amount, excess of 1 crore. Okay, up to 1 crore, no tax is going to be applied. Okay, no TDS is going to be applied. Okay, so for the excess amount is going to be 2% of 1 crore, excess of 1 crore. Okay, for non-taxpayer, it's going to be two rates. Okay, up to 20 lakh, no TDS is going to be applied, but 20 lakh to 1 crore, okay, from 20 to 1 crore, that is going to be 2%. But what if it exceeds 1 crore? In that case, 5%. Okay, let's go for a example. Okay, which says amount is withdrawn, which is 1 crore 20 lakh. Again, what I told you, up to 20 lakh, the tax would be nil, the TDS would be nil. So we have categorize it 1 lakh 20 crore. We have to categorize it. First of all, the part 1 up to nil, up to 20 lakh, which is nil, right? So up to 20 lakh, from 20 lakh to 1 crore, it's going to be, you know, the excess amount is going to be 80 lakh. The excess amount is going to be 80 lakh, and for this 80 lakh, the rate is going to be 2%. Okay, so for this excess 80 lakh, the rate of 2%, and the amount is going to be 1,60,000. Hope so this point was also clear to you. And let's go for the excess of 1 crore, right? Again, let me say it again. Up to 20 lakh, nil, you have to pay nothing, right? From 20 to 1 crore, you have to pay 2% for only the excess amount, which is 80 lakh. Now what the amount is actually 1 crore 20 lakh. Okay, so up to 1, from 1 crore to 1 lakh 20, it's 20 lakh. Okay, the excess amount is 20 lakh. For the 20 lakh, the rate is going to be 5%. And the amount is going to be 1 lakh. So in this case, for non-taxpayer, the amount is going to be 2,60,000. TDS payable is going to be 2,60,000. Hope so you get my point. Now let's read what are the criteria. First of all, payer is going to be banking company, corporate society, post office. Okay, TDS rate was going to be, I told you, 2% and 5%. Okay, now this is about the 2% of such sum if in case the recipient has not filed a return of income for all the 3 immediately preceding previous year, okay, for which the time limit under section 139(1) subsection 1 has expired, such sum and shall be the amount or aggregate of amount in cash which exceed 20 lakh during the previous year. So they are talking about who? The non-taxpayer. Okay? For non-taxpayer, it's going to be, right, 2%, but up to 20 lakh it's nil, and more than 20 lakh it's going to be 2% up to 1 crore. Okay? Let's go for the other thing, which says 2% of the sum where cash withdrawn exceeds 20 lakh, but it's up to or equal to 1 lakh. Okay? 5% of sum where cash withdrawn exceeds rupees 1 lakh. Okay, so hope so you get my point. Okay, in this section, under section, we have read that 194N, which is related to cash withdrawal. Okay, their pair are going to be 3 people. Okay, I told you who are those people. First of all, banking company, corporate society, and a post office. Okay, and pay is going to be any person. Okay, rate is going to be 2 and 5 for taxpayer and non-taxpayer. Okay, for we are going to calculate from who have actually filed the return from preceding previous year. We are going to consider those people. Okay, on that basis we are going to call him taxpayer or non-taxpayer, simple है, ठीक है. Let's go for the other section, which is of section 194. O is for, let's see, e-commerce operator. Now, who is e-commerce operator? We have actually read this term in GST. We know a bit about e-commerce operator. Okay? E-commerce operator actually is providing a platform, is providing a facility, ठीक है, to interact between a seller to a buyer, right? To seller to a buyer, interaction is done there, ठीक है. For example, let's go for the online platform like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Meesho, and whatsoever. There are so many, ठीक है. So that is a platform which is actually provided by e-commerce operator, ठीक है. Let's go for the section now. Section 194 says about the e-commerce operator. Nature of payment is e-commerce operator who facilitate sale of goods or provision of service. So both of things are going to happen, ठीक है. Sale of goods and provision of services of an e-commerce participant through digital or electronic facility of the platform. Payer is going to be for sure e-commerce operator, ठीक है, वो facilitate sale of goods or provision of service of an e-commerce participant through the digital or electronic platform or facility. Okay, who actually owns, operate and manage this facility or platform, ठीक है. So e-commerce operator who is the one is actually operating, ठीक है, who is owning or managing that platform or facility, ठीक है. Now who is going to be paying here, ठीक है. E-commerce participant who is selling goods or services through e-commerce operator, facility or platform. Okay, so these people are going to be payee here. So now we have to check out the limit and the rate. Rate is going to be 1% of gross amount, okay, but what is going to be the limit, right? So let's go for it now, and which says the gross amount of sale or services or both gross amount from sale or services or both is up to 5 lakh in a financial year, ठीक है, to an e-commerce participant being individual or HUF, and such e-commerce participant has furnished PAN or Aadhaar number to the e-commerce operator. So there are going to be two rates here. First of all, TDS is not going to be applicable if the gross amount of sales and services is up to 5 lakh in a financial year, ठीक है. If it is up to that limit is of 5 lakh. If it do not exceed that limit, so no TDS is going to be applicable. But what if it exceeds? In that case, definitely TDS is going to be applicable at the rate of 1% of the gross amount of sale or services, ठीक है. And one more thing is there, that being an individual or HUF, let me read it again, being the individual and HUF and such e-commerce participant has actually furnished the PAN Aadhaar number to the e-commerce operator, then only the rate is going to be 1% if it exceeds the limit, ठीक है. If it exceeds the limit, which limit? The 5 lakh limit, ठीक है. The gross amount of sales or services or both exceeds the limit of 5 lakh. In that case, the rate is going to be 1% of the gross amount of sales and services, ठीक है, sales or services or both. But what if the participant, the e-commerce participant have not furnished the PAN number or Aadhaar card number, have not furnished to the e-commerce operator? In that case, the rate is going to be 5%. In that case, the rate is going to be 5%. Okay, earlier what I told you, the rate is going to be 1%, but if PAN and Aadhaar number is not furnished, ठीक है, to e-commerce operator, then it's going to be 5%. Hope so this point was also clear to you. Okay, the rate 1% of the gross amount of the sale or services. In case of failure to furnish PAN, maximum rate is going to be 5%, not 20%. Okay, so hope so this was also clear to you. Let's go for the other section. Section 194P is about the nature of payment, which is of pension. P for pension, along with the interest or bank. Now here is going to be here some notified specified bank. Now what about the pay here? Okay, actually this section is for some specified senior citizens, okay, those who are having only 2 income, Okay, now we are going to read which income. As I told you, this section is related to P, right? P for pension. Okay, so first of all, one income is that pension. Okay, and let's find out the other income now. So P is going to be specified senior citizen, an individual being a resident in India. Okay, a senior citizen who is resident in India, who is of the age of 75 years or more at any time during the previous year. So that individual, the senior citizen, should be 75 or more than 75 years. Okay, hope so this point was also clear. Okay, but at any time during the previous year. Okay, second thing, that is having a pension income. So first of all, first income is pension income now here. Let's find out the second income, which says about the and no other income except interest income. Except interest income is actually received by this senior citizen. So first income is pension, second is interest income. Okay, so received or receivable from any account maintained by such individual in the same specified bank. Okay, so in the same specified bank. Do you get my point? The interest income is, there is only two income. ठीक है, first of all the pension income, and second there is no other sources of income to him. ठीक है, so first of all was the pension income, second income, the interest income, is actually received by this same notified specified bank. ठीक है, where the account is maintained. Okay, and one more thing is receiving his pension income. बस ठीक है. Third says about the that senior citizen, ठीक है, has furnished a declaration to the specified bank. ठीक है, if three things happen, first of all the senior citizen is up to 75 or more than 75 years. ठीक है, second he is having only two income, first is pension income, second is interest income, and from that specified bank only. Okay, third, and he have actually furnished his all of the declaration. ठीक है, he has furnished a declaration to the specified bank. In that case, that senior citizen need not to file the return of income. ठीक है, so this benefit is given to the senior citizen by our special government. ठीक है, so there is no need to file the return of income by the senior citizen. Okay, so hope so you get my point. Let's go for the limit, which says the basic exemption limit, no TDS up to basic exemption limit, which is 3 lakh 5 lakh as the case may be. Okay, total income after giving effect to the deduction allowable under chapter 6A should exceed the basic exemption limit, and further in case individual is entitled to rebate under section 87A from the taxpayer, then the same should be given. Okay, this is the same thing, we know this. Okay, so I'm not going to elaborate it. So no TDS is going to be applicable up to the basic limit. Okay, and the rate is going to be the same. Okay, the rate in force. Hope so you get my point. So this is actually a bit advantage given to the senior citizens. Okay, this section is related to pension with along with interest on bank. Now you get the point, which interest, okay, which is the other income, second income of that senior citizen. Okay, so hope so you get this point, get this section. Let's go for the other section. This is also one of the important section. 194Q is related to purchase of goods. What about the services? No, we are not going to take the service here. So this section is only for purchase of goods. Okay, if one more thing, if it is more than 50 lakh in previous year, if the purchase of goods value is more than 50 lakh in a previous year, in that case the TDS applicability is going to arise under section 194Q. Okay, so payer is going to be buyer who is responsible for paying any sum to any resident for purchase of goods. But there is one more thing, buyer means a person if total sale, if gross receipt or turnover. ठीक है, if these three things, let me read it. Buyer means a person who means total sale, gross receipt, turnover from the business exceeds कितना, exceeds इतना 10 crore, कितना 10 crore. If from turnover, gross receipt or the total sale exceeds 10 crore, ठीक है, during the financial year immediately preceding the financial year in which the purchase of good is carried out, ठीक है, but this amount should not exclude, मतलब do not include the GST. The amount exclude GST here. Which amount? Let me read it again. The turnover, right, the gross receipt and the total sale. ठीक है. This amount should not include the GST here. The limit was up to 10 crore. ठीक है. If it exceeds 10 crore, which limit? The purchase of goods. The purchase of goods is done more than 10 crore. ठीक है. In that case, this section is going to be imposed. ठीक है. Apply. So pay is going to be any resident. ठीक है. But there comes one thing. When is going to be TDS deductible? Up to 50 lakh. If the goods value is up to 50 lakh in previous year, ठीक है, no TDS is going to be imposed. But what if it exceeds 50 lakh? In that case, TDS is going to be imposed. In this part, I told you that in case of total sale, in case of gross receipt, in case of turnover, we are not going to include the GST. Obviously na, it's very logical, we are not going to take the GST here, ठीक है. But for the value of goods, ठीक है, of purchase, if it exceeds 50 lakh, in this case we are going to include the GST. So to compute the value of goods, we have to include the GST amount also. Hope so this point was also clear to you. But what is going to be the rate? 0.1% of the sum which is exceeding rupees 50 lakh. Okay, if it exceeds 50 lakh, in that case the rate is going to be 0.1%. okay, let's go for these notes, which says the TD is required to be deducted only on the excess amount over 50 lakh in case of transaction to which both section 194O Q TDS deducted under section 194O, which means, you know, 194O was of operation, e-commerce operator, ठीक है, Q is of the goods of purchase of goods, remember, ठीक है. So if there comes a clashes between these two sections, in that case 194O is going to be prevail over these, ठीक है. So 194O is going to be prevail. Let's go for the other thing, which says if the pan of pay is not available, tax will be deducted under section 194O and Q at the rate of 5%. Let me go back, ठीक है. 194O, let's take what I told you. Do I have mentioned this thing? Yes, I also mentioned here that in case of 194O, remember the limit was what? 5 lakh, right? The rate was 1%, ठीक है, and 5% if the you know, the PAN number, the account, the Aadhaar number is not furnished. I already told you. The same thing is written here in case of 194Q, ठीक है. Let me read it again, which says if PAN of pay is not available, tax will be deducted under section 194O and Q at the rate of 5%, not 20%. Hope so this point was also clear to you. Let's go for the other section, which says about the 194R. Now what is this R? Any benefit or any perquisite, any benefit which is related to actually perquisite, ठीक है, or any benefit which is whether that is convertible into money or not, arising from what? From the business or the exercise of the profession, ठीक है. So any benefit or any perquisite, ठीक है, which actually arise from business or profession, ठीक है, whether it's convertible in money or not. Okay, so payer is going to be any person other than that individual and HUF, ठीक है. Remember the boost turnover, yes, ठीक है, other than that, ठीक है, we are going to take them, ठीक है. Responsible for providing to the resident any benefit or perquisite, ठीक है. So those person other than individual and HUF, right? But that people, the exception was there, turnover, if it exceeds, then again these people are going to fall in this category, ठीक है. So hope so first payer is clear to you. Let's go for the second payer, which says the in case of company. First of all, earlier it was of any person, ठीक है, other than individual and HUF. Now let's go for company, which says in case of company, person responsible for paying means the company itself include a principal officer. So payer is going to be a principal officer in case of the company. Okay, hope so this point was also clear to you. Pay is going to be any resident and no TDS. 10% of value of aggregate of value of such benefit or perquisite. But what is the actual limit? I have actually written cross. The limit is up to 20 lakh. ठीक है. If the benefit first of all or the perquisite is given to the pay, in that case If the value is up to 20 lakh, no TDS is going to be deductible. But what if it exceeds 20,000? It's not 20 lakh, it's 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. Okay. So if it exceeds 20,000, in that case, what is going to be the TDS rate? The TDS rate is equal to 10%. 10% of the value of aggregate or value of such benefit or the perquisite. So up to 20,000, no TDS is going to be applied here. Okay. Let's go for the rate note, which says if benefit or perquisite is wholly in kind, right, or it is partially in kind and partially in cash, in that case the payer should ensure that the tax is paid on such benefit or the perquisite. Okay, the payer have to ensure before that if the benefit and perquisite is either in partially in cash or kind or in kind, in that case the payer have to ensure that the TDS is actually paid to the government or not. In that case, either he have to pay that, okay, from his pocket, or the pays have to, they have some procedure, okay. The first thing, the TDA is to be deposited to the government anyhow, okay. So this was the section 194R, which is related to any benefit, any perquisite, okay, which is arising from business and profession, okay, business or profession, okay. Limit is up to 20,000. It is going to be 10% if it exceeds 20,000, okay. So pay is going to be any person other than that individual and HGF, but exception was there, right? They are going to fall in that exception, okay, if the exception exceeds that limit. Second, in case of company, any principal officer, okay. So let me do one more section, okay, which is 194S. 194S is, now we have known these words, okay. Crypto, we know about the cryptocurrencies, okay. We have read them, we actually are aware of these things now, okay. So the nature of payment is going to be payment or transfer of virtual digital assets, okay. Section 194S is for payment of transfer of what? Payment on transfer of virtual digital asset, for example cryptocurrency, NIFTs, okay. Payer is going to be any person, pay is going to be the resident person, but there are again two things which says for up to there are two categories which says the categories of 10,000 and 50,000. Let's check out what are they saying, okay. There is one limit which says up to 10,000 and up to 50,000, no TDS is going to be applied, okay. But what are the things which are going to fall in these, okay. For 10,000, this is going to be any other person, okay. So this is going for the any other person. Let's go for the 50,000 limit, which says being an individual HF whose total sale from his business or profession do not exceed 1 crore. याद है, ठीक है. From business exceeds, do not exceeds 50 lakh from the profession. So this point we are familiar with these point, ठीक है. Total sale, ठीक है, from 50,000 or being individual and HEF. For we are talking about the individual and HEF whose total sale again from business and profession do not exceed 1 crore from the business, right? Again gross receipt, right? Gross receipt of what amount? 50 lakh, right, from the profession, do not exceed this limit, okay. And third, not having any income under the PGBP, not having the PGBP income, okay. So let me read one thing. During financial year immediately preceding the financial year in which such virtual digital asset is taken. So there are 3 people who are going to fall under the 50,000 limit. There are only 2 people. Let me say it again. First of all, that person total sale, individual and HEF, okay, that person total sale do not exceed that limit. Which limit? That individual and HEF, okay, which falls in an exception of 1 crore, okay, from the business, okay, and 50 lakh from the profession, okay. Second, they are not having any other income from the PGBP. In that case, we are going to take that people, okay. So no TDS is going to be applicable for these people. Hope so this point was also clear to you, okay. For any other people other than individual HEF, okay, the limit is going to be 10,000. And now tell me the rate is going to be 1% of the consideration on the transfer of virtual digital asset. Hope so this was also clear. But what if the PAN is not furnished? In that case, 20% is going to be the TDS rate. Let me say it again. This section is for transfer, payment on transfer of virtual digital asset. like we are very familiar with the cryptocurrencies, right? Rate is going to be 1% on consideration of transfer of that virtual asset. Okay, and pay is going to be any person, pay is going to be resident. Okay, limit is 10,000, 50,000 for that individual turnover, remember, and do not have any other income from PGBP head. So that's it guys, this was the today's lecture. I don't want to extend this lecture. Okay, so up to this we have completed 194S, which is related to virtual digital asset. Okay, 194R Perquisite and benefits. Okay, other 194Q purchase of business, and let's go for 194P is for pension, and 194O e-commerce operator, and is for the limit, ATM limit. Okay, withdrawal, and other than contractor, commission, brokerage, and professional services. We have completed these sections. Okay, they were actually very important sections, so you have to do the revision. First of all, you go for each and everything, each and every provision of the section. Okay, so these are just, I am just posting some fast track revision. Okay, but you have to go through everything. Okay, solve the compiler questions as much you can. Take it as much you can. That's it guys, this is Soumya Santosh. We'll meet again, we'll meet soon. Tab tak ke liye bye bye to this guys.